Well, Reid Carruthers, Jason Gunnlaugson. Hey, thanks a lot, you guys, for stopping in this morning. Well, first of all, I guess congratulations on the big win out in Fredericton earlier on this season. I guess, Reid, first, to come out of the blocks with a new squad and win a big event like that, how's that help you, I guess, when you're looking at the quadrennial, but even just start for your team?
Yeah, just a huge confidence booster for our team, especially, and we beat some of the best teams in Canada and the world to do so. So, yeah, it's been a great start to the year, and we're just having lots of fun. And I think that's, we're letting everyone know that we're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
No, you did that. Jason, I just walked in. I haven't seen you yet this year. I just ran into you in the hallway before you came in. Your fitness. Tell me about what's going on, because you've changed your body completely. You look great. What's going on?
No, thanks, Kev.
No, seriously, it's great to see. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it was nice to with the end of the trials process last year, kind of got a little bit of warning that things might be changing, and I'm was going to be embracing a new position and wanting to try and be at least not a negative sweeper, if possibly a plus sweeper, but at least not a negative sweeper for the boys, because I know how frustrating that can be. So yeah, I just trying to work and be there, and having great teammates like Connor's. I mean, he's not the tallest fellow, but one of the strongest guys on tour. So following his lead and just working as hard as I could this summer.
So okay, let's expand on that a little bit with the sweeping angle of it. I never even thought of that either. Fitness, your regiment. I guess let's first talk about what you have done this summer in that regard. I think a lot of people would like to hear that, to be able to get ready for sweeping. Is there certain exercises, certain things that you do to prepare your body, I guess, for what's happening with all the sweeping that's going to happen this fall?
Yeah, and we started out, the first event we played was 10 games, so thankfully we did something. No, we work with a really great trainer in Winnipeg, and we're, again, fortunate to be, where we are situated. Adrian Honich with Effectus Fitness has trained curlers all through. I mean, Don McEwen's a great example, but some of
Shannon Burchard,
yeah. So there's a bunch of curlers going, which is twofold. One, it helps the trainer get more knowledge about the sport, which curling, isn't your hockey or your football, right? So they're not used to it a little bit. So that's been great. But also you've got a great group of people, some of, for me, looking at a guy like BJ Neufeld, who's been one of the best thirds out here for years, going to the same trainer, knowing you're preparing yourself in the right way, really helps.
Hey, Reid, when you have a new team get together, and how big, I guess, would it be to set up goals? Team goals.
Yeah, no, it's very important. And that was one of the things that we did in the off season with our coach, Rob Meekin, setting a plan for the year. And then also for the quadrennial. So, we have very specific goals even for this year that we're hoping to achieve.
And can you lighten us in some of the goals that your team did set up?
I can maybe obviously one is getting to the Brier.
Well, the reason I'm asking is just for young teams that do set up, they move to different cities because of school or whatever, and they have to set up new teams. I guess when they get to this stage and they try to get this team together, well, what's next? So how do they organize themselves so that they can be as successful as possible? I guess that's a better way of putting it.
I think it needs to be specific and obviously attainable goals for each team. So our situation versus like a young team that's, getting into the sport might be a little bit different. But as an example, for our team, our goal is to be like a top 4 or 5 CTRS team at the end of this year. So that's, something that I think is very attainable for us if we play well. But yeah, for a young team, if I'm working with like a young junior team, it might be just even qualifying for the men's provincials or women's provincials. So it changes on who that team is.
Okay, so you're wanting to be high up in the ranking. I'm sure you guys will be there as well, especially the way you started out this year. That's for sure. But schedule, your team schedule, new team, but it is the first year of a quadrennial. Do you play a lot of events this year? Do you maybe take a little easier approach? How are you guys?
I would say moderately aggressive. There's teams that are definitely playing more.
Moderately aggressive.
Yeah.
That's there this
year.
I
would. Well, there's the teams that play more, but also I think we're playing a little bit more than average. But I think like one of the big things for me for putting this team together is having 4 guys that live in Manitoba and we're able to practice at a very consistent basis and often. So for us, practice is going to be very important for us in this first year of the quadrennial.
Hey, Jason, I'd like to ask you just for a second year, not sitting beside Reid. What does he bring to the team? Because you've skipped a lot over the years and now deciding to partner up. You guys are both the same age-ish.
Almost exact same birth year, yeah. No, very.
So you know each other very, very well. And so what's Reid bring to the table?
He brings a lot of things. I mean, I think one of the things that I saw that maybe isn't like the obvious, making the big shots, winning the big championships, that sort of thing, is just he's a great team leader. He does a really good job of, both directing the ship, but also keeping everybody, moving in the right direction. And when people need a little bit of support, he's there to give it to them. When people need a kick in the butt, he's there to give it to them, kind of thing. And just a great team leader. Organizes a ton of stuff. I do have to shout out that Connor also does a lot of things off the ice as well. But Reid's just a great team leader, sets us up well. And I feel like free to just kind of compete and do my best, on the ice. And it's been a lot of fun so far.
So you talked about Connor a couple of times, negative at lead, but you've got, of course, Derek Samogolski, who's probably one of the best sweepers in the game today. The importance of a strong front end, Reid, and especially the two you've got. Because they haven't played together, I don't think, much before, Connor and Derek.
No, they haven't. They haven't. And I had not played with Connor, but with Jason, I had 3 years with him. But with that front end, in-turn or out-turn doesn't really matter. They're very strong sweepers. And we've been working hard, even doing some sweep testing in the off season to prepare ourselves for the start of this year. And I think it's helped.
Let's switch over a little bit to Manitoba curling right now, because there's your team. There's Dunstone's team vying for that province, and I see maybe a bit of an issue going forward, not just in Manitoba, but other provinces as well. Where I guess I'd love to hear your thoughts on the importance of making sure the top. Well, to your point, you're trying to get to the top 3, 4, 5 in the CTRS. Okay, well, I imagine Dunstone will be there, Alberta, Botcher will be there, Couille will be there. How do we make the national championship to make sure that the top 5 or 6 are in it? Or is that important?
Well, I think it's important. And I think in most sports, in a national championship, you see the top teams in it, at least have the opportunity to be there. So for us, I'd like to see the wild cards continue moving forward. If you want to treat it like a true national championship and not as much about the borders, I think the top teams should be there.
Okay, so what are you thinking for total number of teams?
Well, they could do something similar to what they've done in the last couple of years with the 3 wild card teams, quote unquote. That would probably just looking at it, now out of the gate, it kind of looks like that would give the opportunity for some of the top teams, not just in the men's, like where you look at the women's teams and even in Manitoba and some of the other provinces. It's silly, and Kerry and the girls are Team Canada, but if another province wins and you throw Kerry back into that mix next year, in Manitoba.
Eventually, she's not going to win 20
Well, we'll
in a
see.
row.
We'll see, Kevin. Yeah.
Well, maybe, but
Come on,
give
that's a
somebody else
confident coach.
Yeah.
That's a confident coach.
I might be biased. I'm biased a little bit. Yeah.
It's all about the coach.
Yeah. But it's tough.
I want to talk about the Olympic trials because we just got off the Olympics and there was lots of discussion, lots of emails and stuff into Inside Curling about the timing of the trials to give our Canadian representatives the absolute best chance to do well. Don't need to say win anymore. Get on the podium, do well. Timing. What do you think, Jason? I would imagine you thought about this a fair amount.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think our systems, like, you would know better than most, Kev, but I don't think that our system is that part of it's that weird, or I'm not sure what benefit we're getting by having it earlier. You get a little bit more time to prepare, but I don't know. It's not like our Team Canadas have been doing super dominant. I'm not sure that helps teams, unless it's way before. And if we do, I think my concern would be it really hurts development because you already have this half year to 1 year dead time if you're not the trials team. And, it becomes 2 years, year and a half. It starts to, we already are losing way too many people as they come up through the ranks. And that would just further exacerbate the problem. So I do have some concerns about changing it too drastically.
Okay. I wanted to hear that. Reid, your thoughts on the timing of the trials.
Yeah, like if anything, maybe give a few more weeks to the trials winner. So, if you're able to have the trials maybe a little bit sooner rather than last weekend of November, maybe the start of November, you could even look at having, the pre-trials, quote unquote, say, maybe be at the end of the previous year. And then you have anywhere from 6 to 10 teams, however many teams are playing in the trials that have that chance and know they have the realistic chance of going to the Olympics. That would be something that I would suggest, but one man's opinion.
Yeah, but I think it's an important opinion. There's a lot of talk about timing of that event because I really do think if you're not done till early in December sometime and you have the Christmas break, you've got to have all your family and entourage organized to fly to wherever the Olympics is by middle of January.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow, that's not very much time. Anyway, you just came off a big win at the Points Bet in Fredericton. Something that was an unusual rule was no extra ends and a draw to the button. And one thing I didn't add yesterday was that the team that would have had hammer in the traditional game got to choose the turn. And the other team had no choice but to play the other turn. Your thoughts on finishing a game that way? Because there's definitely some pluses from the broadcast streaming, knowing when the game's going to end, scenario in regards to timing. But what do you think?
Yeah, I thought for that tournament alone, like it was a fun thing to try out. Would I want to do that in a Brier final? No, I don't think so. But from a standpoint of strategy, it sure got our brains thinking. It ends like 7, 8, 9. Because you take a different approach. If you're 2 up coming home without, it's a pretty good spot to be in. Or even being up one playing the ninth end with the hammer, giving the steal is not a big deal. So it changes a little bit of your thought process.
One thing I'd like to ask you about in regards to that. So you're 2 down with hammer coming home, a pretty good chance of getting a 2.
Mm-hmm.
And the other team's not going to worry too much about giving you 2. They don't want to give you 3.
Mm-hmm.
So that probably happens a lot. So you're knowing going into the 10th end, all right, I'll draw, out turn, whatever, for 2. But you're not going to get to throw the out turn draw likely because the other team would have hammer. They can make you go to the in turn. Is there a chance during that end or the end before to make sure that in 9 you play the 10th end in turn or the 9th end out turn to make darn sure that side is keen, and then that way when you play your out turn to win or to tie the game, that in turn spot?
Yeah, no, that's a smart way to look at it. And I think the one thing that I'd like to see changed if we are doing that format moving forward is just to have both teams, just like we do in the draw the button, throw on each side, have 2 throwers and just take your combined total. And I think that
rather than just one throw,
I think, there's going to be a lot less whining and complaining about the side that you're on. So the team that goes will have the choice of going first or second. And I think that also sometimes, has an influence on the winner.
One more question. One thing that I did get excited about during the Fredericton event was the teams wearing their regular uniforms. Thoughts on that? A Curling Canada sanctioned event where you're actually wearing your normal uniforms, and maybe, Jason, the chance that may come into regular and Brier Playdowns, Scotties, and so on. Not Worlds, obviously. You have to wear the Canadian uniform, and Olympics, of course. But everything else, can you see where the uniform you're wearing right now could be your uniform for the entire year, every game you play, unless you go to the Worlds or Olympic Games?
I mean, that's more Reid's avenue than mine as far as answering that. But I think in general, it's great anytime we get to play in our normal uniforms. I mean, especially for our team, our sponsors are very supportive and allow us to do this. So the fact that we got to, any extra time, and especially for us, we got some good TV time there that weekend, was great for us. And the more, the better.
Reid, what do you think? Is there a chance we could make that? And then, what, I want to add one more thing too, because you're wearing blue, and there could be other teams that are wearing blue. A home and away, making sure you have a light uniform and a dark uniform, so that when you go to play somebody.
That'd be great as well. I just think the bare minimum, at the Briar and Scotties, if we're able to do what we are allowed at the Worlds, which is where, 1 or 2 sponsor logos, I think that would be great. That would be a good start, because at the Briar we don't. So
of any kind.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that would be a great start for us, at least, Princess Auto is our major brand. If we could have that at the Briar, that'd be great.
Well, thank you very much, you guys, for taking the time. Really appreciate it. And good luck this year. Well, you've already had a great year, but keep it going.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Kevin.
Thanks, Kev.